Hey guys, Jenny here. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this clown. And supplies you'll need are all put on screen. And for reference, for my yarn, I use Premier Chunky Parfait. And I also use Bernat Blanket yarn for the white. And then here are all the terms and abbreviations you'll use. And I'm going to be using US terminology. And if you're ready to get started, let's jump right in. Okay, starting off with the arms, I'm going to take my white yarn, give it a magic circle. There's a million ways to make a magic circle. This is how I make mine. I'm going to take my yarn and pinch it to my thumb and index finger. Go left to right, loop around, right to left. Then we go on the top half of my X that I made and go under the first one, over, then pull my yarn through, twist up, and I'm going to do a slip stitch. And then this will be our magic circle. So for our first round, I'm going to do 5 single crochets inside the magic circle. So I'm going to insert my hook into the circle, grab my yarn, pull it through, and pull it through those first 2 loops for my first single crochet. So insert, grab, pull through the 2 on the loop. So that's our second single crochet. So it's 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to pull my tail and close the circle. And then for the next round, we're going to do an increase in every single stitch, so a total of 5 increases. And do an increase when I go in my stitch, pull my yarn through, pull the first 2 for my first single crochet, go back in that same stitch, pull my yarn through, and make my second single crochet. So it's just 2 single crochets into each stitch. So that's my second increase. Do 1 single crochet, 2 is my third, 4, and then our final increase, 5 increases. And then for our next round, we're going to do 1 single crochet and increase and repeat that a total of 5 times. And then for our final increase, on the second one, I'm not going to pull my yarn through yet, and I'm going to switch to my main body color. I'm going to be using this light green, and then I'm going to grab my body color. I'm going to pull it through. And so I'm going to be done with my white yarn, so I'm going to cut my white yarn off. And then I'm going to take the tail from the white and the tail from our body color we just color changed to. I'm going to double knot these just to make sure they're secure. It won't fall off. And so now we have our body color yarn. So next time we're going to do the back loops only. So I'm looking at a stitch, there's a loop that's further from you and one that's closer. So the one that's further is going to be the back loop only. So for this next round, we're working only the back loops. And we're just going to single crochet 15 into all the back loops. So that's our second single crochet. Back loop 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And the reason we do this is because later we're going to go back with our second color and do our ruffles in the front loops. So for the next round, we're going to start with a decrease and do a decrease. I'm going to do it like I'm going to do a single crochet before I pull through. I'm going to go in my next stitch and pull my yarn through. So I have 3 on my hook. And then take my yarn and pull through all 3 loops. So that counts as our first stitch, our first decrease. And then we're just going to single crochet the rest of the round for a total of 13 single crochets. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And then for our next round, we're going to do a sequence of 5 single crochets and decreasing 2 times. So this will be my first single crochet. I'm going to do 2, 3, 4, and 5 single crochets, and then I'm going to decrease crease, and then we repeat that one more time, doing 5 single crochets and then decreasing. 4, 5, and decrease. And then for our next round, we're just going to single crochet all the way around for a total of 12 single crochets. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. This is also a reminder, I'm going to start stuffing my arm and continue to stuff it as I work throughout the arm. But then for our next round, I already started, I just did 1 single crochet, but we're going to do a sequence of 4 single crochets and decreasing this time. So that's my 3rd single crochet, 4, and I'm going to decrease. And then we're going to repeat that one more time. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets, and then I'm going to decrease. And then it's kind of the same pattern. We're going to do the same thing again, where we're going to single crochet all the way around for a total of 10 single crochets. So that's my first one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then continuing on with our pattern, I'm going to start off by doing 3 single crochets. So that's my first one. 2, 3, and then decrease. And then repeat that one more time. We're going to do 3 single crochets. That's my second one, third, and I'm going to decrease. And also can continue stuffing the arm. And then for the next round, again, we're just going to single crochet all the way around for a total of 8 single crochets. So that was my first one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then for our second to last round, we're going to do the sequence of 2 single crochets and then decreasing. So that's my first single crochet, second, and then I'm going to decrease, and then repeat that one more time. We're going to do 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and then decrease. And then we're just going to single crochet all the way around for a total of 6 single crochets. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So to end this off, we're going to single crochet through both sides. We're going to fold our work in half, and since we have 6, there should be 3 stitches that will pair together. So we're just going to go through both stitches and then do a single crochet. So go through both sides, pull through and do a single crochet. So that's 2, and then our final third. And then it's going to slip stitch and finish it off. And this is what the arm should be looking like. And then to do the little ruffles, you're going to take your secondary color. I'm using this dark green. And then I'm going to insert my hook into the front loop from round 4. I'm going to grab my yarn and pull it through. And then I'm going to slip stitch and chain 1. And then into each of the stitches, I'm going to do 4 single crochets. For example, this is the front loop. I'm going to go and do 1 single crochet, go in the same stitch, 2, same stitch, 3, same stitch, 4. And then you do it in each of the front loops all the way around. So pause the video and come back after you're done with that. And then after that, you'll be done with the arm. And after you're done with the arms, I just tied the knots together and hide them in for the ruffles, but they should look something like this. And after you're done with the arms, we're ready to move on to the legs. And so for the legs, we're start with our white yarn, You make a magic circle, and then inside of the magic circle, I'm going to make 6 single crochets. So insert loop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to pull the tail, close my round. And then for the next round, I'm going to do increases in every single stitch all the way around for a total of 6 increases. So remember to increase, you do 1 single crochet and go in the same stitch, then do another single crochet. So that's our first one. And then for our next round, we're also just going to do 1 single crochet and 1 increase for a total of 6 times. So that was my first single crochet. Now I'm doing my increase. And finally on our 6th one, on our last increase, the second single crochet, we'll do the same thing again and color change into our main body color. Remember, for me, I'm using this light green. And then we're going to be done with our white yarn. So I'm going to cut it off. And then I'm going to take my 2 tails and double knot them. And now that we have our body color on our hook, we're going to do something similar to that did the arms and go through the back loops only through every stitch and just single crocheting. And we're going to do a total of 18 single crochets in the back loops only. But moving on to our next round, it's similar to the arms where we're going to do a sequence of back and forth of decreasing and single crochet. So for our first round, we're going to do 7 single crochets. That was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we're going to decrease. And then we'll repeat that one more time to finish off the round. Do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 single crochets, and then end around with another decrease. And then for our next row, we're just going to single crochet all the way around for a total of 16 single crochets. So that's my 4th one. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And then for the next round, we're going to do 6 single crochets and decrease 2 times. That's 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to decrease, and then repeat that one more time. We're going to do 6 single crochets, and then we're going to decrease. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, and decrease. And then I know next round we're going to do single crochets all the way around. This time it's going to be a total of 14 single crochets. This is my 4th single crochet, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And this is a reminder to start stuffing as we continue to work on the leg. And then for our next round, we're going to do 5 single crochets now before our decrease. So that was our first one, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to decrease, and then going to do another 5 single crochets, and then decrease. It's 3, 4, 5, and decrease. And then we're going to single crochet all the way around for the next round for a total of 12 single crochets. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then the next round, we're going to do 4 single crochets and then decrease. That's my second, 3 single crochets and 4. And I'm going to decrease. And repeat that again. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets, and then decrease. And the next round, again, we're going to single crochet all the way around, and this time it's going to be 10 single crochets. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm also going to add more stuffing to my leg. And then for our second to last round, we'll do the same thing again. We'll do 3 single crochets and decrease this time. So that's 2, 3, we're going to decrease, and then we'll repeat that again by doing 1, 2, 3 single crochets, and then decreasing. And then for our last round of the leg, we're just going to single crochet all the way around for a total of 8 single crochets. That's my fourth one, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And so after you make the first leg, you're going to fasten off. But this is my second leg. I've already made my first one. But to do the ruffles, you do the same technique again, where you go through the front loops from round 4, and then pull your yarn through, slip stitch, and then chain 1. And then you do the same thing again. We're going to do 4 single crochets into each of the front loops. So pause the video and come back after you're done with that. And then you also have to go back and make a second leg. And then after you're done with the second leg, don't fasten off, and we're going to attach these and continue onto the body. Okay, so after you're done with both the legs, they should look like this. And then my second leg, I'm going to continue onto the body. So starting with the body, I'm going to go into my first leg. And I'm just going to do 1 single crochet like normal. So I'm going to single crochet 8 into each leg. So that was my first one for the first leg. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then we go into the other leg. Do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then for the next 3 rounds, I'm just going to single crochet 16 all the way around in the body color. So pause the video and come back after you're done those 3 rows. So after you're done with the body, it should look something like this. And then for our last row in our body color, we're going to need our arms. So we're going to repeat a sequence of doing 3 and then 3 with the arm and then 2. So we're going to start off with 1 single crochet, then do 2 and 3. And then to do 3 with the arm, you're going to take, there should be 3 single crochets for your arm. I'm just going to take it and put it through the arm, and then also put it through the body, and pull through both the body and the arm, and do 1 single crochet. And they do that 3 times. Go through the middle of the arm, and the next stitch, and go pull through, do my second single crochet, and last stitch in the arm, stitch in the body, and pull, do my third, and then do 2 single crochets. And then we repeat that once again. We're going to do 3 single crochets. That's 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to grab my arm, go through my arm, and then go through my body and pull it through. That was 1, 2. I'm just going to try to hide the tail as I'm crocheting it on. And then finally, third one with the arm, and then end off the round with 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. And then our second one, I'm going to switch over to my white yarn. So we'll be done with our green. So I'm going to cut my green off, and then tie these two tails together into a double knot. So after that, we're done with the body, and I'm also going to start stuffing it before we start working on the head. So now that we have our white yarn, to start off with the head, we're going to work in the back loops only. This is again to add ruffles later, but we're just going to decrease into all the back loops. So pull through one back loop, cut the next back loop, pull through, and that's our first decrease. And then for the next round, we're going to work all into the front loops only and do a total of 8 increases in all the front loops. So pause the video and come back after you're done with all those increases. Then after you're done with all your increases, for the next round, we're going to repeat doing 1 single crochet and then increasing all the way around for a total of 8 times. So pause the video and come back after you're done with that row. So after the single crochets and increases, for the next 4 rows, we're just going to single crochet all the way around for a total of 24 single crochets. So pause the video and come back after you're done with those 4 rows of 24 single crochets. So after you're done with your 4 rows, it should look something like this. I also began stuffing the head. And then for our next round, our second to last round, we're just going to be doing 1 single crochet and decrease all the way around for a total of 8 times. So that's my first single crochet. I'm going to decrease. And then for our last round, we're just going to decrease all the way around for a total of 8 decreases. That was my first decrease, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and finally 8. I'm going to cut a little tail. You don't have to close it off too neat. There are better ways to do it, but I'm just doing it the lazy way because the hat is going to cover up most of the head. And this is what it should look like. And then for the neck ruffles, we're going to go into the front loop, grab our secondary yarn color and pull it through. Then we're going to slip stitch and chain 1, and then single crochet 4 into every front loop from this row. And then pause the video and do that, and then after we come back, I'm going to show you how to make the hat. After you're done with the neck ruffle, it should look something like this. I also went ahead and sewed on a little button. I like adding little buttons and decor stuff like this. You can also hot glue it on, but I just like it better when it's sewn because it's more secure. And then we're going to do the hat next. And for the hat, I'm going to take my main body color. For me, it's this light green. And then I'm going to make a magic circle. And inside the magic circle, I'm going to do 4 single crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then pull my circle closed. And then the next round, I'm going to do 1 single crochet and increase for a total of 2 times. So that was my first single crochet, and increase. And then I do that again where I do 1 single crochet and then I'm going to increase. And then for the next round, I'm going to do 2 single crochets and then increase for a total of 2 times. That's 2 single crochets and then increase. And then I'm going to do it again where I do 1 single crochet, 2, and then increase. And then we're going to continue this pattern again. We're going to do 3 single crochets and then increase. That's 1, 2, 3, and increase. And then we're going to do that one more time. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, and increase. And then for our last round, we're going to do 4 single crochets and then increase 2 times. It's my third single crochet, 4, and then I'm going to increase. crease, and then repeat it one more time. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to increase. And then to end my row, I'm going to go into the back loop, and then I'm going to slip stitch. I'm going to cut off a long tail for sewing. And then after you're done with that, we're going to take our second yarn color, and we're going to go into the front loops only, and we're going to do the same exact thing we've done for all the other ruffles. We're going to insert it into our front loop, slip stitch, and then chain 1, and then we're going to go into each front loop and do 4 single crochets into each front loop. So pause the video and come back after you're done doing 4 single crochets into every front loop of the last row of the hat. Then after you're done with your ruffles, your hat should look something like this. And then finally, before we attach the hat, I'm going to show you how to do the eyes. So I like to use my darker yarn, so for me it's my dark green. And then this is the diagram we use for how I'm going to place my eyes. First I'm going to find my 2 center ones, and so I'm going to place my eyes next to each of these. So I'm going to go through, pull my yarn through. And then I'm going to follow that X shape. And then for my final one, I'm going to go back out where I first inserted my needle. And those are the eyes. I'm just going to double knot these 2 tails together and then hide the excess yarn inside of the head. For our hat, I'm going to insert my hook on either side of the head. So I'm going to do this side of the head and then come out the other side. And then I'm going to take the tail from my hat and I'm going to pull it through the neck. This might have been easier with the needle. And then after you get your tail through, I'm going to find the opposite side of the hat. And then I grab my tail and pull my yarn through. And then I'm just going to tighten it and adjust it until it is secure on the head, like such. And then I'm just going to slip stitch the tail to secure it. And then I'm going to cut off the extra yarn. And then I'm going to weave it back inside of the hat to hide it. So after those steps, you're done with your clown. If you guys like this tutorial, remember to like and subscribe and look out for future tutorials. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Bye!